Here we are for SmackDown, and SmackDown this week was obviously the fallout show from Saturday night's main event. So we got plenty of things that we need to follow up on. And honestly, looking at the preview for this show, I was quite excited because it looked like we were going to dig into Cody CM Punk, which I think needs a bit of digging into. It looked like we were going to dig into Gunther, Nick Aldis. We actually started the show with that. And of course, we had a couple of qualifying matches for that women's championship match, the interim championship match at SummerSlam. So lots of stuff going on that I was interested in, which kind of got me a bit excited for SmackDown. And to be honest, SmackDown has struggled for me in 2026. So to go into this with some segments that actually looked like they were going to be juicy, I was quite excited for this show. I don't think the show underwhelmed. I actually found large parts of it, to certainly the segments, to really deliver. I think the in-ring underwhelmed tonight, and we can get to it when we get to it. I think the backstage segments and in-ring segments were the highlights. I really enjoyed Sami's crash out. We're going to get to that because I really thought that that was a high point of this show. And I thought he made some excellent points as well to Adam Pearce about how Sami is having to jump through extra hoops compared to other people. Other people seem to just get things handed to them, but Sami is having to jump through hoops. You know, he wasn't even on the SummerSlam card. He has now been added, but we'll get to it all, right? So we started with Nick Aldis and Gunther, both in the ring. Gunther making his way down, contract signing for their match. Their match was announced at the SummerSlam kickoff show. You might have missed it, but the SummerSlam kickoff show on Sunday, it was announced these two are going to face at SummerSlam. So Nick Aldis relinquishes his duties as SmackDown General Manager. The responsibilities go to Adam Pearce. The question I had was, is that for a limited time or is that forever? Because I didn't feel like they made it obvious as to which one. I do wonder if they're just trying to keep it a bit open and keep you guessing, because it obviously depends how this match goes. And then bang, we went into a brawl. They started brawling. It went the way that it always goes when there's a table in the ring. Someone's going through it. It was Nick Aldis that would be planted through that table by Gunther. We scored this segment. It scored great 78. It was very interesting. You know, we were really digging into the backstory here. I like what Nick Aldis said. You know, Gunther went off saying, "You're not on my level. You always dreamed bigger. You never achieved it." And Nick Aldis responded by saying, "Are you trying to convince me of these things? Or are you trying to convince yourself? Like, I sense that you're a bit scared of what you're stepping into here." And the point he was making was, I've got nothing to lose. You know, I haven't wrestled for 3 years, so everyone's expecting me to lose. But what happens if you lose, Gunther? Because you've got everything to lose. Because you're meant to be the man. You're meant to be the guy. You retired John Cena. You retired AJ Styles. So if you lose to a general manager who hasn't wrestled in 3 years, I mean, that's not a good look, is it? So, I mean, it was good. There was a psychological element here that was quite nice to get the teeth into. So you lot really enjoyed it. You scored it great 78. I enjoyed it as well. I thought it was a really good start to this show. Then we immediately went backstage for this crash out. And this was a crash out. This was Sami doing golden work in a corridor where he was just going off at the camera. You know, I mean, he is such a good promo. This is where you can really appreciate his skills because he's captivating. He's making good points. He's passionate. His delivery is absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, I mean, this is just him in a corridor, going off at the camera, and it was very, very engaging. So he said, it became crystal clear to me as soon as I won that the powers that be around here, they didn't want Sami to be WWE champion within days. I had to defend my championship on a show that I wasn't even on within days. We had a new #1 contender, and lo and behold, it's the golden boy, Cody Rhodes. Imagine that. And then when he gets taken out, don't worry about it, because we've got CM Punk. We've got the corporate poster boy #2 waiting, fresh as a daisy, ready to go. So congratulations. You took the championship off Sami Zayn. Hooray. You got the marquee matchup at SummerSlam. Cody, CM Punk. That looks good on a poster, doesn't it? He was crashing out, man. And then he saw Adam Pearce, right? Nick Aldis had just been tucked to the doctor's room. Adam Pearce was checking on him. And we found out that a fatal four-way was going to go down. Later in this show, the winner would face Sami at SummerSlam. The winner of that is the new #1 contender. Sami was still not thrilled about this. And he was making great points. He was like, why have I got to jump through hoops to get back to a championship that I should not have lost in the first place? You know, Nick Aldis screwed Gunther at Saturday night's main event. The GM got involved in the match and screwed Gunther. But you know who else he screwed? He screwed me. He screwed me because I was in that match as well. And like Adam Pearce just didn't want to hear it. It was like, Sami, this is the option. You either take it or you leave it, right? You can have a match at SummerSlam. You can face the winner of tonight's Fatal 4-Way. Whoever wins at SummerSlam, you are the new #1 contender. Sami took it. He wasn't thrilled about it. I really enjoyed his crash out. So I thought this was a really good start to SmackDown. I mean, honestly, at this point, we're probably about 25, 30 minutes into a 2-hour show. And it's feeling like legitimately this is going to be one of the best SmackDowns of the year if they can keep this energy going, keep this level of storytelling going. What they followed it up with was a little bit disappointing, but we know why they did this. So we have Fatal Influence come down. They're bragging about winning the tag titles. JC says that Tiffany's US Championship is going to be hers in due time. She doesn't say when. She just sends a warning that she's coming for that belt. So we moved on to Brie taking on Lainey. So this was a bit of a nothing singles match, but it was nice to see Lainey in action in a singles match because we haven't seen much of her in singles action. This match, as we said, it wasn't very long. There was a couple of commercial breaks during this match as well. And really, it was all about setting up the return of Nikki Bella. So Nikki Bella would actually come down eventually and get involved. So Brie managed to get the win over Lainey. That resulted in Fatal Influence jumping in the ring and attacking. Of course, this would mean that we would need a savior. That savior came running down, and it was a returning Nikki Bella. So we had the Gunther Aldis opening segment. We followed it up with Sami Zayn doing some brilliant work. Then we went to an opening match that you lot scored as just good 91. You weren't really blown away by it. But there was a purpose to it, and that purpose, as we said, was the return of Nikki Bella. So Nikki Bella would actually get into the ring. She would make the save. She would then get on the microphone, and she would challenge Fatal Influence to a 6-person tag match at SummerSlam. So that's going to set up Fatal Influence, Lainey, Fallon, JC, taking on Paige, taking on Brie, taking on Nikki. We kind of felt like it was heading this way, so I can't say people were too surprised. But, well, it's a moment, you know. Nikki coming back is a bit of a shock, and here's some new merch. You can look, but you can't touch t-shirts. That is the new merch for Nikki Bella. Obviously, we haven't seen Nikki in action for a while. She was meant to be teaming with Brie at WrestleMania. She suffered an injury. They had to get Paige as the replacement. This is very old school against new school, and I'm really not down on it. So, yeah, the match itself, good 91, nothing to write home about. In-ring was very underwhelming tonight. tonight, but it did lead to the return of Nikki. Backstage, we had Finn Balor. He was reminiscing about SummerSlam 2016 when he became Universal Champion. He said it was the best night of his life. It was the worst night of his life. He got injured in that match with Seth, and it meant that he had to relinquish that Universal Championship, which was obviously very disappointing for Finn. So Finn looking and setting his sights on winning that Fatal 4-Way tonight. Finn Balor would be one of those participants. So yeah, that was kind of interesting. Gunther did approach him, by the way, and just say he doesn't care about Finn Balor. He doesn't care about the fact that he's tried for 10 years to get back to a world championship. As soon as Gunther is done with Nick Aldis, Gunther is going to return to that title pursuit. So he was making it very clear, you know, don't even think about getting in my way. And honestly, the idea of Finn Balor Gunther in 2026, I think is a very exciting idea. So even though it was a very fleeting backstage moment, I liked it. I was on board with it. Another little backstage moment. We had LA Knight, Royce Keys, and Solo. Royce Keys was going to be in that Fatal 4-Way as well. And Solo was hyping him up. Solo was acting a bit of a cheerleader. We were talking about this during our watch-along. LA Knight would come in as well and make it very clear, like, whatever you're doing, whatever you're like up to tonight, fine, but just do not lose focus on the bloodline. That's what LA Knight wanted to make very clear. So, as we said, a couple of interesting backstage moments here. We also saw Chelsea and Tiffany. They're getting on at the moment. BFFFL's best friends forever fighting on ladders. So Chelsea had an opportunity to qualify and join that ladder match. We know that Tiffany is in that ladder match at SummerSlam. So they're talking about how they're friends right now and how they'll still be friends even if they're having to compete against each other in this ladder match. It's kind of an interesting dynamic, actually. The fact that they're now friends, but they're now going to be competitors in the same match at SummerSlam. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Tiffany was just kind of dealing with Chelsea when she turned around, got tapped on the back. There was Blake Monroe. Blake with a message of warning for Tiffany regarding that US title. So JC is coming after that US title. Blake is coming after that US title. So lots of sharks swimming around Tiffany at the moment. But that took us to our next match. So Chelsea would try and qualify for that ladder match. So it was Kiana versus Chelsea. Who is going to qualify? And amazingly, it was Chelsea. She managed to do it, and she did it clean. She qualified clean. Chelsea is going to SummerSlam. She is qualified for the WWE Interim Championship ladder match, and she did it clean. We don't see Chelsea winning singles matches clean too many times. You lot scored it good 95. Good 95. You much preferred this to Lainey Brie. I agree. This was better than that opening match. I would say so far so good. This really is not like a bad show. We went backstage. Tonight I'm in a 4-way, so Damian is going to be in that main event as well. R-Truth said, I don't even know if that's PG. Very good. Very good. Damian tells Cody, R-Truth walks away, Cody arrives. Damian tells Cody that he and the boys are sick of the same people being the face of the brand. Speaking from someone that used to be one of the boys, which you should care less about, by the way, I like that attitude, says Cody. Cody's like, I get it. I was one of the boys. I felt that way. I like that attitude. Cody then walked away and went to the ring, and the reason for that was because our next segment was Cody's segment. This was the start of hour number 2. So Cody was in the ring. He was in there with CM Punk. He went to give him the microphone and he dropped it. I couldn't tell if he did it on purpose or by mistake, but CM Punk didn't trust picking it up. He went and got a new microphone. And yeah, we kind of got into a bit of history between these two. So Cody said, you dropped a pipe bomb on the industry. I dropped a nuke on the business. I don't like you, says Cody. Some of this hit, some of it didn't. I kind of like what Cody said, though, and that was, you did the pipe bomb. Every word of that pipe bomb. You know, I kind of left this place and tried to build something better and ended up coming back. You know, you delivered the pipe bomb, but I walked the walk. You might have talked the talk, but I walked the walk. I lived the pipe bomb. And he said there wasn't a moment of me going on that journey that I didn't realize that the fans wish it was you that was going on that journey instead. You know, the fans wanted you to be in the position that I found myself in. And he's like, I know that was the case. I've always known that was the case. Cody, I thought, kind of got quite real there, and I really liked it. CM Punk responded by saying, well, the reason for that, could it be because you heard what I said and you acted upon it, but did you do better than me? Did you go further than me? That's not for us to decide. But by saying it, he's kind of implying you didn't. You might have listened to what I said and followed my advice, but you never went further than me. You didn't do anything that kind of took this to the next level, if you will. And I thought that was kind of interesting as well. So some of these exchanges I thought were actually quite strong. I just had someone tell me, obviously we heard Damian say this, that they were tired of the same faces. And I'm apologizing. I'm done apologizing for what I've worked for. So Cody kind of sending a message to Damian, sending a message to the boys, but sending a message to the fans that I'm not saying sorry for being in the position that I have worked my whole life to try and get to. Just because some of you are not happy that I'm there right now, I ain't apologizing for it. So I kind of like Cody standing 10 toes down on that position. So I kind of thought that was good. CM Punk came back with this. He said, in 2022, I was looking up to you. You might have looked up to me, but in 2022, I looked up to you because I was on the outside looking in. You showed me there was a way back. So a bit of an AEW reference there. A little bit of an AEW reference. We started to put a bow on this, right? You can't handle the pressure of trying to take this precious title off of someone that you care about. CM Punk was like, you say you love me, you say I'm a brother, then you say you hate me, then you say you don't like me. I don't believe any of this. I think you're trying to convince yourself of these things. The truth is, Cody, you cannot take this belt away from someone that you really care about. And I thought that was interesting, you know. CM Punk then had his music play and he walked away with this final line. He said, I'm CM Punk. I'm the best in the world, in this ring, on this microphone. No one can touch me, not even Dusty's kids. Music hits, away he walks. I like this from Cody. He didn't allow him to get away with it, right? He said, cut that music and get ready to play Kingdom. Because he wanted to respond to that Dusty's kid line. He's like, I want you to hear the music that you're going to be hearing at the end of our match at SummerSlam when I become the new WWE champion. Kingdom plays, Cody gets the final word, exits the ring. Maybe not the most killer of final lines, but I kind of like the fact he didn't let CM Punk just walk away. You know, so many people just take it on the chin and just take the L. Cody was not willing to do that. He was, wanting to get that final word in. So you lot scored this great 57. You didn't feel that it got to the heights of Gunther, Nick Aldis, but you still enjoyed it. And I agree with you. I think this was worthy of a great rating. Honestly, this show up to this point is really not bad. I mean, I don't think it's had the OMG moment to get it into the 8s, but I think it's probably around the 7s in the 7s for me at this point. And we are into the second hour. We're like a good 10-15 minutes now into the second hour. I think this is where it starts to dip for me now, right? And I think this is where the score starts dropping rather than going up. So we do Charlotte against Nia. This is our second qualifier. We kind of knew what was going to happen here. We knew that Jade would get involved because Charlotte got involved last week. Lo and behold, Jade comes down with the baddies. They get involved. They do attack Charlotte. It does result in a DQ. And, as a result, Nia gets screwed again for the second week running. She finds herself being disqualified when it wasn't her fault. Last week, we saw Charlotte getting involved attacking Jade. That meant that Jade won by DQ. This week, we did the reverse. It meant that Charlotte won by DQ. And it's Nia that continually misses out. So there's one more spot to go. We don't know who's going to be in that qualifier next week. I'm guessing Nia could get a third opportunity. So Charlotte qualified, Jade has qualified, Chelsea qualified tonight, Tiffany qualified last week. She managed to get past JC. So we've got 4 of the 5. It's not a bad lineup. I mean, it's really not a bad lineup. They went through a load of SummerSlam graphics at this point. I like this from Slam X. Slam X was like high definition. Why is Lainey like a low res? Why is her render? I didn't even notice that. But why is it that hers is like low quality? And it is true. You can sort of see that it's not as sharp. But anyway, all of this led to our main event match, and that would be, obviously, the match we know about, the Fatal 4-Way, Trick Williams, Damian Priest, Finn Balor, and Royce Keys. Winner of this going to SummerSlam to take on Sami Zayn. So, I don't know. Wrestle Talk was talking about this, the fact that the renders are on the Titantron. I don't know if we've done that before or haven't done that before, but they kind of felt like this was something new. Obviously, during this match, Solo would make his way down to the ring, and he would get involved as well. So he would actually put Royce Keys' foot on the ropes to stop him from losing, so kind of screwing over Trick Williams there. Trick Williams very close to securing the victory. Obviously, this would bring down the Usos. We know that Solo and Royce and LA Knight, they're taking on the Bloodline at SummerSlam. So Jimmy and Jay would come down. Obviously, LA Knight would come down as well. So they would all kind of take each other out of the equation. So Solo, LA Knight, Usos, they would go off battling. Our main event would continue. It looked like Royce Keys was about to pick up the victory, and then Jacob gets involved. So Jacob out of nowhere costing Royce Keys. All of this would basically result in Finn Balor being the one to actually get the victory. So Finn Balor with a coup de grace, picking up the win over his former Judgment Day partner, getting the 1-2-3. And it is Finn Balor that closes the show standing tall. So you lot said this was great 65. I don't think that's unfair. I think I would be a bit lower because there was a couple of commercials here that were really close together. I felt like we went to commercial break, came back, 4 minutes later, we went back to commercial break. Loads of shenanigans, which I didn't really need, but probably not surprising because we are trying to build up towards the big SummerSlam match with the Bloodline and Royce Keys and LA Knight, blah, blah, blah. So I get all of that. Finn Balor winning, I think, was the right result, not down on that. I think this is worthy of being high-end good, low-end great. Probably wouldn't get to great 65, but yeah, it was fine. It was an acceptable way to end this SmackDown. I think the low point is Charlotte Nia. I think that's the low point. But by and large, this is much better, I think, than where SmackDown has been in 2026. It's weird, actually. I mean, genuinely, I think I can say that SmackDown, maybe for the first time, was better than Raw this week. I thought that SmackDown put on a better show than what Raw did, and we have not been saying that in 2026, right? I do think SmackDown going to 2 hours definitely helps, definitely makes this a more enjoyable show. And as I said, I'm going to go score-wise here, 6-7-5 to 7. I don't think we've quite got that OMG moment to take us into the 8s or even remotely close to the 8s. I think the in-ring is dragging it down. Lainey Brie, good 91. Chelsea Kiana, good 95. Charlotte Nia, good 85. The best thing we've got is this main event match. And as I said, I wasn't as crazy about it as what you lot were. So 6-7-5 to 7. I think it's a very fair score. I think this is a show that is carried by its backstage segments and its in-ring segments. You lot seemingly agreeing. You were high-end good, low-end great in the chat, so I think we're kind of around the same area. I think this is probably a thumbs up for this SmackDown, but on we go, right? There's lots coming up. We're going to be back later with AAA. There's a big AAA show going down on Saturday. We're going to be doing SummerSlam 2009 on Sunday because WWE Vault are showing that, so we're going to do the watch along for that as well. Of course, we're back all next week with the Go Home Raw, the Go Home SmackDown, NXT as well, SummerSlam next weekend. I need to get the SummerSlam predictions on the channel, so much content coming your way as we head towards SummerSlam, which should be a really good show. So yeah, progress made here, definitely. Couple of matches added, some really good segments. I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it as well. So there we go. That's the SmackDown breakdown. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.